Tonight, when you go to sleep, I want you to notice something before you close your eyes, before you check your phone one last time, before you pull the blanket over your body and wait for the room to disappear. Look around you. The door, the lock, the walls, the ceiling, the mattress, the pillow, the blanket, the quiet, the darkness that stays outside because glass, concrete, wires, and electricity are holding it back. All of that had to be invented. Someone had to invent the bed. Someone had to invent the bedroom. Someone had to invent the idea that sleep belongs behind a closed door, alone, silent, private, in one long block, for exactly the right number of hours. And if you wake up at 3 a.m. staring at the ceiling, listening to the house breathe around you, you are told something is wrong. You are stressed, you are anxious, you are not sleeping correctly. But what if the strange thing is not waking up in the night? What if the strange thing is the room itself? What if the way we sleep now is not the normal human way at all? Because for most of human history, sleep was not something you did alone. It was something you did beside other bodies, near fire, near voices, near danger, in a world that did not become safe just because the sun went down. And that older night has not completely disappeared. It is still inside you, in the way your eyes open at an unfamiliar sound, in the way firelight still pulls your attention, in the way another person breathing nearby can make the dark feel smaller. Maybe you were never meant to sleep alone. Welcome back to a world older, darker, and stranger than anything we were taught. A world where the past was not simple. It was dangerous. It was human. And it still lives somewhere inside us. Welcome to the strange past. Go back. Not to castles. Not to villages. Not to the first cities. Go further. Before beds as furniture. Before rooms had names, before clocks told the body when the night should begin. Imagine a group of humans somewhere in southern Africa. The sun is falling, the heat of the day is leaving the ground, the sky is losing color, the long grass is becoming darker, the trees are turning into shapes, and somewhere beyond the camp, other animals are beginning their day. This is the part modern life makes almost impossible to feel. Night was not just dark. Night was a change in power. During the day, distance belonged to the eyes. You could see movement, you could see tracks, you could see the outline of a hill, the line of trees, the path toward water. But at night, the world shrank. The known world became the size of the fire. Beyond that circle, anything could be waiting. A sound could mean nothing, or it could mean everything. A branch breaking, grass moving, an animal calling once, then stopping, the sudden silence of insects. For early humans, sleep was never just rest. Sleep was surrender. To sleep meant closing your eyes in a world where your body was soft, warm, slow, and breakable. You could not run while sleeping. You could not throw a spear while dreaming. You could not read the grass, watch the trees, or notice the shape moving just outside the light. So the question was not simply, where do we sleep? The question was, how do we disappear from consciousness and still survive until morning? That question shaped us. It shaped the camp. It shaped the fire. It shaped the group. And it may still shape the way your mind moves through the night. The first thing to understand is this. Prehistoric people were not just collapsing on bare ground like exhausted animals. They were making sleep. They were building it. At Border Cave in South Africa, archaeologists found evidence of grass bedding around 200,000 years old. Not a random pile of plants, not leaves blown into a cave by accident. Layers of grass, used again and again, placed with intention, sometimes laid over ash. Ash from old fires could help keep insects away. It could make the surface cleaner. It could turn the ground into something safer. Think about that. 200,000 years ago, someone looked at the ground and decided it could be improved. Someone gathered grass. Someone carried it. Someone spread it. Someone knew that sleeping directly on the earth was not enough. The body needed softness. The skin needed distance from crawling things. The group needed a place where people could lie down and let go. That is not primitive. That is care. That is planning. That is the beginning of the bedroom, long before the bedroom had walls. And Border Cave is not alone. At Sibudu Cave, also in South Africa, researchers found plant bedding from around 77,000 years ago. Some of it included leaves from plants with insect-repelling properties. Imagine the mind behind that. Someone had to know the plant. Someone had to recognize the smell. Someone had to remember what insects avoided. Someone had to place that knowledge exactly where sleeping bodies would need it most. This was not luxury. It was survival made gentle. A mattress before mattresses. A medicine in the sleeping place. A quiet technology for the most vulnerable hours of the day. And then there was fire. Fire changed everything. At Wonderwork Cave in South Africa, evidence suggests that human ancestors were using fire deep in the past, around 1 million years ago. Burned bone, ash. Heat changed material inside the cave. Not modern humans yet, older humans. Ancestors who were already learning that night could be pushed back. Not defeated, never defeated, but pushed back. Fire was warmth. Fire was light. Fire was cooking. Fire was protection. Fire was a signal that said, here are humans. Here is a group. Here is a small island of order inside the dark. But fire had to be kept. That word matters. Kept. A fire that dies in the night is not just a dead flame. It is warmth lost, light lost, protection lost, morning made harder. Keeping fire meant gathering fuel before darkness. It meant watching the coals. It meant feeding the flame at the right time. It meant someone, somewhere in the sleeping group, remained partly connected to the world. Maybe an elder. Maybe a parent. Maybe someone who woke easily. Maybe someone whose body naturally rose closer to the surface while others sank deeper. This is where sleep becomes social, not because someone invented a rule, because the night demanded cooperation. One body sleeping alone is fragile. A group sleeping together is something else. A group has more ears, more memory, more warmth.
If you're enjoying this journey, leave a like.
More chances that someone will hear what others miss. And around the fire, the night did not only become safer, it became human. Anthropologist Polly Wiesner studied firelit conversations among the Jew Huansi San of the Kalahari. During the day, conversations often stayed practical: food, work, problems, arguments, the pressure of living together. But at night, around the fire, the conversations changed. Stories appeared, myths, humor, memories, talk of distant places, talk of people who were not there. The night opened a different part of the mind. Daylight asked, "What must we do?" Firelight asked, "Who are we?" That difference matters, because before writing, the fire was where knowledge moved. A child could learn about an animal they had never seen. A young hunter could hear about a mistake before making it. A dead person could remain present in a story. A place beyond the hills could exist inside the imagination of someone who had never walked there. The fire made a theater. The flames moved, shadows moved, faces changed. A voice could make the past appear. A voice could make fear smaller. A voice could make the group feel like one living thing, and then slowly people slept. Not all at once, not like lights switching off in a building, more like a tide, one body drifting down, another turning over, a child waking. An older person coughing softly, someone feeding the coals, someone looking into the dark, someone dreaming, someone listening. Modern people often imagine ancient sleep as simple. They had no screens, so they must have slept perfectly. They had no alarm, so they must have slept with nature. They had no electric light, so they must have slept from sunset to sunrise. But the real evidence is stranger. Sleep researchers studying present-day hunter-gatherer and small-scale societies found something that surprised many people. Among the Hadza of Tanzania, the San of Namibia, and the Simani of Bolivia, average sleep was often less than the famous 8 hours. In one major study, people slept about 5.7 to 7.1 hours per night. They did not usually go to sleep the moment the sun disappeared. They stayed awake after sunset. They talked. They sat near the fire. They allowed the heat of the day to drain from the air. They often woke near the coldest part of the early morning. Temperature mattered, light mattered, the group mattered. The body was not following a phone alarm, it was following the world. And insomnia in the modern sense seemed far less common in those groups, not because every night was perfect, not because ancient life was easy, but because the body was sleeping inside conditions closer to the ones that shaped it. Darkness that was actually dark. A day that made the body tired. A night that cooled naturally. A group nearby. A fire fading slowly. No glowing rectangle telling the brain that the sun was still alive. But the strangest finding came from the Hadza. Researchers monitored sleep across a group and found that over 20 nights, all observed adults were scored as asleep at the same time for only 18 one-minute periods. 18 minutes, across 20 nights. Not because someone assigned a guard, not because there was a written schedule. Just because human sleep in groups does not line up perfectly. Some people sleep early, some sleep late. Some wake more easily. Some older people rise earlier. Some younger people stay awake longer. The result is powerful. A group may never be completely absent from the world. Someone is almost always near the surface. Someone is almost always able to notice. This is called the sentinel hypothesis, the idea that human sleep may have evolved with a kind of built-in night watch, not a guard standing with a weapon, a biological watch, a social watch, a pattern created by different bodies sleeping differently beside one another. So when you wake at 3 a.m., it does not always mean you are broken. Sometimes it may mean your body is doing something very old. Checking, listening, returning briefly to the edge of the world. Of course, modern stress is real, illness is real, bad sleep is real. Some people need help and that matters. But not every night waking is a failure. For most of human existence, a person who never surfaced from sleep might have been less useful to the group than a person who sometimes did. The 3 a.m. wake-up may feel lonely now because we wake inside separate rooms. But in the older world, that waking had company. You opened your eyes. The fire was low. The air was cold. Someone nearby shifted under a hide. A child breathed against a parent. An elder sat half awake, staring at the coals. Outside the light, the world was still alive. But inside the circle, you were not alone. You listened. Nothing was wrong. The sounds were the sounds they should be. The fire was still alive. The group was still whole. So you went back down into sleep. That is a very different experience from waking alone in a quiet room, looking at a glowing clock, counting how many hours are left before morning. Modern sleep turned the ancient interval into a problem, but history suggests that waking in the night was once ordinary. Historian Roger Ekirch spent years studying references to sleep in diaries, court records, medical texts, letters, literature, and other historical sources. Again and again, especially in pre-industrial Europe, he found references to something modern people almost forgot. First sleep, second sleep. People would sleep for a while, wake in the night, pray, think, talk quietly, tend a fire, care for children, remember dreams, then sleep again. To them, this was not a disorder. It was part of the night. The night had a middle, a strange quiet space between sleeps, a space where the mind was not fully daytime and not fully dream, a space where thoughts could move differently. Then artificial light changed the shape of the night. Gas lamps reached city streets. Then electric light spread further. Work moved later. Entertainment moved later. The evening became brighter. The first sleep moved later. The middle of the night became compressed, interrupted, or forgotten. Eventually, one long block of sleep became the ideal. The new normal. The thing everyone was supposed to do, but it may not be the only way the human body knows how to sleep. In the early 1990s, Thomas Wehr studied what happened when people spent long winter-like nights without artificial light. After weeks of long darkness, many participants began sleeping in two phases, with a calm waking period between them. The body remembered a pattern that modern light had hidden. Not in thousands of years, not in generations, within weeks. That is the strange thing about the past. Sometimes it is not gone. It is waiting under the surface. Change the light, and the old rhythm begins to breathe again. But the deepest story of human sleep goes even further back. Before history, before caves covered in art, before Homo sapiens. Our closest living relatives, chimpanzees, gorillas, and orangutans, usually sleep in nests. They build sleeping places in trees, high above the ground, away from some of the danger below. But sleeping in trees has limits. The body cannot fully forget itself. It must still keep some awareness of position. It must not fall. The nest holds the body, but it also restricts it. At some point, our ancestors came down. They began sleeping on the ground. That sounds dangerous. And it was. But the ground also made something possible. A body on the ground, protected by others, by fire, by shelter, could relax more completely. It could enter deeper sleep. It could dream differently. Humans sleep less than some other great apes, but our sleep is rich in REM, the dream-heavy stage connected with memory, emotion, and imagination. That does not mean dreams created humanity by themselves. Nothing in evolution is that simple. But it suggests something beautiful. The same social world that made ground sleep safer may have given the human brain more room to do its secret work at night. Memory, emotion, dreaming, connection. The mind that painted animals in caves, the mind that made stories from stars, the mind that imagined the dead were not simply gone. That mind was partly shaped in darkness. Beside fire, beside other breathing bodies, safe enough for a few hours to let go. And that brings us to one of the strangest modern inventions of all, the private bedroom. Today we treat it as normal. A room for one person, a room for a couple, a door that closes, a bed separated from the rest of the household, a place where sleep becomes private property. But for much of human history, and still in many parts of the world, sleep was communal. Families slept near each other. Children slept near adults. People slept in shared rooms. In some cultures, whole households or communities slept in spaces where sound, warmth, and presence were part of the night. That does not mean every arrangement was comfortable. It does not mean the past was perfect. People dealt with crowding, smoke, cold, noise, fear. But the nervous system had something modern rooms often remove: other people nearby. A body does not understand safety only through logic. It also reads sound, warmth, rhythm, breathing, the tiny evidence that someone else is there. That is why falling asleep to voices can feel comforting. That is why a campfire can make strangers go quiet together. That is why a child often sleeps more easily when someone they trust is near. That is why loneliness can enter the body at night. Research has linked loneliness with more fragmented sleep, even when people live in relatively safe communities. The body may sleep more lightly when it feels socially exposed. Because for most of our existence, being alone at night was not a lifestyle. It was a warning. Alone meant no one hears what you do not hear. Alone meant no shared warmth. Alone meant no one notices if you disappear. Alone meant no witness. And humans are not built only from bones and muscles. We are built from other people. The group was our first shelter. Before the house, before the locked door, before the mattress company, before the sleep tracker. The group was the thing that made the night survivable. This is why modern sleep can feel strange even when it is comfortable. You can have the perfect mattress, the perfect pillow, the perfect temperature, the perfect curtains, the perfect app measuring every movement, and still feel restless, still wake in the dark, still reach for sound, still put on a video, a podcast, rain noise, a voice, anything that makes the room feel less empty. Maybe that is not weakness. Maybe that is an ancient need trying to speak through modern walls. A need for the night to have company. A need for the dark to contain more than yourself. Think of how strange the modern bedroom would look to an ancient human. One body. A door closed against everyone else. No fire. No group. No elder near the coals. No children sleeping in the center. No soft conversation fading into silence. No one half awake at the edge of the circle. Only a person alone in darkness, surrounded by invented safety, wondering why the body does not always believe it. We built walls so well that the night could no longer enter, but maybe the body still asks a very old question. Where is everyone? There is another part of this that matters. Modern life does not only isolate sleep, it attacks the night itself. For hundreds of thousands of years, night arrived as a force. The sky darkened, the air cooled, the world changed sound. The body received the message. Slow down, gather, stay close. Now night arrives and we turn it off. Screens glow, rooms shine, streets burn with artificial light, shops stay open, work follows us home. Entertainment never ends. The ancient signals are scrambled. The body waits for darkness, but the eyes keep receiving day. The mind waits for quiet, but the phone keeps offering voices. The group is absent, but the screen offers a fake crowd. Comments, messages, videos, faces, noise. 1,000 people near you, and no one actually there. So the body becomes confused, tired but alert, safe but uneasy, comfortable but lonely, sleepy but unable to let go. This is not only a personal failure, it is a mismatch. An ancient body inside a very new night. And the new night is bright, too late, too private, too silent in the wrong ways, too loud in the wrong ways. We did not just invent the bed, we invented a whole world around the bed. Clocks, schedules, work days, school days, alarm tones, night, shifts, artificial light, separate rooms, productivity culture, a medical language that often treats every interruption as a defect. Again, some sleep problems are real and serious. No one should pretend suffering is ancient wisdom. But the bigger story still matters. The human night was not always meant to be smooth. It was not always meant to be silent. It was not always meant to be solitary. It was alive. It had stages. It had sounds. It had other people in it. It had a fire, breathing slowly at the center. Imagine that older night again. The group has eaten, the tools have been placed aside, the children are heavy with sleep, the old people sit close to the warmth. Someone tells the last part of a story, someone laughs quietly, someone looks beyond the light and says nothing. The fire lowers, the flames become coals, the coals become eyes in the dark. Bodies settle, not in perfect silence, in living silence, breathing, moving, dreaming, waking, listening. A child turns, a parent adjusts, an elder opens their eyes. The stars move slowly overhead. The cold deepens before dawn. And through all of it, someone is near the edge of waking. Not because they are broken, because the group is alive. Because sleep for humans was never only individual, it was shared vulnerability, shared darkness. In that world, sleep was not an escape from society.
Shadows
It was one of the
recede,
deepest forms of
and
society.
the group stirs.
To sleep beside
This dawn
someone
is
meant
proof of
trusting
their
them
survival.
with your unconscious body. To let a child sleep deeply meant someone else had to sleep lightly. To wake and hear another person breathing meant the night had not taken everyone. To reach morning together meant the group had survived another test. That is why dawn mattered, not as a pretty sky, as proof. The fire still breathing, the group still whole, the predators gone back into distance, the cold beginning to lift, faces returning from shadow, voices becoming louder, children waking, the day beginning again. Every morning was a quiet victory. Modern mornings often feel like interruption, an alarm, a schedule, a demand, a phone lighting up before the mind has returned to itself. But for most humans who ever lived, morning meant something much older. You made it. The night passed, someone kept the fire, someone heard the sounds, someone woke before you. You were held by the group while you disappeared into sleep. And now, you are back. This changes the way we should think about ancient people. They were not simply surviving the day and collapsing at night. They were managing one of the most dangerous biological
Keep
acts
close
an
to the
animal can
flame.
perform. They
The
were
fire
building
is our
grass
shelter
beds,
in the dark.
choosing plants, maintaining fire, arranging bodies, sharing warmth, telling stories, waking at different times, turning vulnerability into a social system. The bed is not the beginning of human sleep. The bedroom is not the original shelter. The circle is. The alarm is not the original signal. The cold before dawn is. The nightlight is not the original light. The fire is. And the sleep tracker is not the original measure of a good night. The original measure was simpler. Did the group wake up? Was the fire still alive? Were the children still breathing? Did morning find everyone still there? That was sleep before civilization. Not perfect, not peaceful in the modern fantasy, not easy, but deeply human. A dangerous surrender made possible by trust. Private biological need held inside a public social world. A nightly reminder that humans survived not because each person was strong alone, but because no one had to face the dark completely alone. So tonight, when you lie down, notice the inventions again. The mattress, the blanket, the quiet room, The lock, the phone, the alarm, the electric light waiting on the wall. Be grateful for them. They are not meaningless. They protect us from many things our ancestors feared, but also remember what they replaced. The fire, the circle, the shared warmth, the sound of another person turning in the dark, the old rhythm of first sleep and second sleep, the strange calm of waking in the middle of the night without panic, the knowledge that someone else was near the edge of consciousness, someone listening while you dreamed. You may sleep in a modern room, but your body is older than the room, older than the bed, older than the lock, older than the clock that tells you whether your sleep was successful. Inside you is a memory of a different night, a night where darkness was real, a night where fire mattered, a night where sleep was not a lonely performance, but a shared act of trust. Maybe that is why the sound of rain can calm you. Maybe that is why a low voice in the background can make the room feel safer. Maybe that is why camping near a fire feels strangely familiar, even if you have never done it before. Maybe that is why waking at 3 a.m. feels less frightening when you remember that humans have been waking in the dark for longer than they have been building walls. You are not separate from that past. You carry it into bed every night, every ancestor who slept lightly so someone else could sleep deeply, every parent who woke at a small sound, every elder who watched the coals, every child who survived because others stayed close, every group that reached dawn together. They are not gone completely. They are there in the part of you that listens before thinking, the part that relaxes near warmth, the part that wants a voice in the dark, the part that still understands something modern life keeps forgetting. Sleep was never only about closing your eyes. It was about trusting the world enough to let go. And for most of human history, that trust did not come from a locked door. It came from people, the person beside you, the person across the fire, the person who woke before dawn, the person who heard what you did not, the person who helped the group survive until morning. So maybe the deepest truth about sleep before civilization is not about grass beds, not about fire, not about predators, not about first sleep or second sleep. Those things matter. But beneath all of them is something even older. A human being was not meant to vanish into the dark alone. We were meant to disappear together, to dream inside the shelter of the group, to wake into a world where someone else had kept the night from swallowing us. And thousands of years later, beneath the mattress, beneath the alarm, beneath the walls and the wires and the electric glow, your body may still be looking for that. Not a better app, not another perfect routine, not a more expensive bed, just the ancient comfort of knowing that somewhere nearby, someone else is still awake. If this journey made you see the past differently, leave a like to support the video. And subscribe to The Strange Past to discover more strange and forgotten stories from human history. Because our past was far stranger than we imagine.